Welcome to Netlinked Weekly, our weekly show about everything at NCIX and what's going on and what's happening, and especially the goings-on, which are all the same thing, of course. So this week is the back-to-school sale. This is part one of the back-to-school sale. Next week we're going to have part two of the back-to-school sale. The back-to-school sale is one of the biggest sales of the year, so you got deals on everything from notebooks to monitors to video cards to SSDs to pretty much everything NCIX carries. In fact, you'll see lots of images here of things like compressed air for cleaning out your computer for back to school, and a monitor for a school bus, which is evidently spelled wrong, and you should go to school for that too, and a calculator that has lead on it. This is, of course, Tom's work, and I'm very proud of him that he didn't put boobies on the calculator as opposed to leet, which is, still very clean, but also, gamer humor, right? So you got a ruler. Okay, we don't have rulers. And as usual, there is a picture of me hidden somewhere in this image, and this one's actually pretty tricky. So you can click on the Banner Vault link under the video and check it out. See if you can find the hidden person. You don't get a prize, nothing special. You just get the satisfaction of watching me talk about how you should look at me, and then finding me, and then telling me about how you found me in a picture of me. Which maybe you get satisfaction from that, I don't know. But you'll probably get satisfaction from some of these deals. This one right here is killer. I am personally responsible for this one. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm also a product manager at NCIX. And this one was, oh man, just brilliant work. $79.99 for a G9X laser mouse and a G105 LED backlit keyboard from Logitech. They have Modern Warfare branding on them, so I'm sorry, but maybe you could scrub it off somehow if you're not into Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare 3, so at least it's the current Modern Warfare. And I think that is an outstanding deal because that's pretty much the price of a G9X mouse. Next, we've got an Acer Aspire Ultrabook. So this is an $899 Ultrabook. SSDs are coming down so much in price, it's unbelievable. How long ago would a 240 gig SSD have been near $900? Wasn't that long ago. Now you can get a full PC with a Core i5 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, a 240 gig SSD, a 13-inch screen, and a nice slim form factor, which is perfect, again, for that theme, back to school. This bundle has actually been killed for a number of reasons, so don't worry about that. Moving right along, we have another bundle. So this is a Linksys Wi-Fi bundle. You can get an AE2500 dual band USB adapter and an E4200 router. They are refurbished, however, it's Cisco. So there was probably some kind of process in place for refurbishing these things, and when you buy them as a bundle, you get them for only $70. And finally, we have a 1,000 watt 80 plus gold power supply for $100 after a mail-in rebate. So that's a modular power supply. It's an OCZZ series. These are actually quite popular indeed. Our major news for the week is, of course, GTX 660 Ti. This is the new graphics card from Nvidia that basically takes the price to performance ratio and performance per watt ratio and pretty much every ratio and just throws it all in the bin and rewrites the rule books, because this is using the latest 28 nanometer manufacturing process, a Kepler GK104 GPU, which is the same one you find in the 670 and the 680. It in fact has the same clock speeds as a GTX 670, but the only difference is that the memory bus is cut down from 256-bit to 192-bit. This does affect performance adversely a little bit, but even in some extreme examples like triple 1080p display gaming, we only saw about a 10-15% performance difference between a 660 Ti and a 670. And it's at $299. It is $100 cheaper than the GTX 670 at $399. So it also, this is really important. It also comes with a free copy of Borderlands 2 while supplies last, and that stands for GTX 660 Ti, 670, and 680. You can get a free copy of Borderlands 2 starting at the same time the GTX 660 Ti launched. So moving right along, we have a Tech Tips Live, but before that, we should do our interview. So today's special interview guest is going to be, remember guys, I'm Linus, the Tech Tips host, and I mentioned before that I'm also a product manager. Today's guest is Linus, the product manager. So, Linus, the product manager, tell us a little bit about what you do at NCIX. Now that's a great question, Linus, the Tech Tips host. Actually, as a product manager, I do a wide variety of different things, including finding new suppliers with interesting, cool new products, developing relationships with existing suppliers, actually cutting orders. So I'm bringing in the product, and then I'm setting and managing the pricing, and then determining what our selling price is on NCIX, and yeah, so that's sort of the gist of it. That's pretty interesting. So when there's these deals at NCIX, are you actually involved in, like, you know, arranging them and making sure that NCIX has like the hottest deals in the country? You know what though, Linus? Having the best deal in the country is just not good enough for us. We want the best deal in the world. And I think some of your worldwide viewers can probably attest to these Netlinked Weekly top deals being better than anything that they can get no matter where they live. Okay, last question, Linus. So you talk about bringing in the best deals in the world and cool products and all that, but what product categories are you actually responsible for at NCIX? Is it just kind of everything, or is it just specific things? I have managed at some point or another almost everything. So I mean, when I first started, I was managing just water cooling. So I didn't touch anything that wasn't a CPU water block, a GPU water block, a radiator, anything like that. So once I got a lot of practice with water cooling and grew that category at NCIX, I moved on to some of the more core business categories, such as things like video cards, SSDs, memory, networking, cases, power supplies, other cooling products such as fans and heat sinks. I mean, did I say power supplies yet? I don't even know. Motherboards. I've done RAID cards. Pretty much you name it, it goes into PC. NCIX carries it, and I've probably product managed it at some point. These days, I am mostly focused on video cards, SSDs, and mostly video cards and SSDs. The cool stuff. Well, thanks for joining us today, Linus. I think we all learned something during that detailed and exciting interview. And the thing we learned is that when Linus interviews himself on camera, it's phenomenally stupid. And we probably won't do that again, but thank you for bearing with it. So this was our Tech Tips Live for this week. We actually tweeted this yesterday and we're filming it today, but I mean, by the time we release this, it'll be tomorrow, so I don't see what difference it makes. Will you be upgrading to Windows with a capital W, Slick, Windows 8 within the first month? And if not, why? We got a ton of responses. Within like 10-15 minutes, we had over 100 responses, and the overwhelming majority fell here. So when we actually tallied them up, sort of before we finished getting responses, but we had to do a cutoff at some point, we got 81 responses no, with a lot of people citing differences in performance for gaming, uncertainty as to whether their hardware would work with Windows 7 and Windows 8 when they upgraded, as well as just lack of funds at this point in time, and a lot of people seemed pretty upset about the Metro interface. So a couple things. Number one is I really doubt that gaming performance is going to decrease in any meaningful way. Windows 8 is very lightweight compared to Windows 7. We're going to be running the same OS in the same footprint with the same memory requirements as a tablet on a desktop. So it's going to be pretty lightning fast, I think, as far as overhead goes. Now, when it comes to hardware compatibility, it's running the same kernel still as Windows Vista, which means that in terms of drivers, you'll probably be able to force Windows 7 drivers or even Windows Vista drivers to work on Windows 8, as long as you're using the correct edition, that is 32-bit to 32-bit or 64-bit to 64-bit. Other than that, most major devices, I mean, things like Nvidia GeForce graphics cards already have Windows 8 drivers that are completely ready to go. So there you go, 81, and about 15 people said, yes, immediately, I'll be upgrading to Windows 7. Now, there were about 5 people that were in the middle where they said, maybe, Windows 8. Windows 8, not Windows 7. There were about 5 people in the middle that said, well, I'll upgrade, but not my main desktop. I'm gonna, install it on my notebook or on my tablet. Now, what I'm really excited about when it comes to Windows 8 is gonna be touchscreen enabled notebooks. I've seen some pretty cool stuff coming from the likes of Samsung, where they've taken an Ultrabook, added a little bit more thickness to the screen, and made it so you can use it with a keyboard and mouse, or, if you're just, I just need to scroll, you can also touch the screen and use it that way. That, my friends, is going to be the killer device for Windows 8. I'm not that interested in Windows 8 tablet. Not that interested in Windows 8 traditional desktop. But Windows 8 with a touchscreen and a keyboard and mouse is going to give you the flexibility to use whatever applications you want, or apps. So if they're applications, they're for a desktop. If they're apps, they're for mobile. even though apps is just short for applications. Whatever you're going to use, you can use the optimal interface the way you want to, and that to me is what's exciting about Windows 8. Thank you for watching this week's edition of Netlinked Weekly, and don't forget to subscribe to NCIX Tech Tips.